everyone, today I want to talk about the different evolutionary stages of Scorpio, the different progressions that the sign of Scorpio goes through until it reaches the highest potential. So keep watching. Hi everyone, today I wanted to talk about the different evolutionary stages of Scorpio. Scorpio is a complex sign. It is quite misunderstood in general, and that's because it is a fixed sign. But the funny thing is it's also co-ruled by Pluto, which kind of forces it to go through different crises in life, and sort of go through metamorphosis situations every single time. And because of that, Scorpio, the sign of Scorpio, people with prominent Scorpio in their chart, they have to go through this process where they keep having to reinvent themselves, especially after a period of crisis or chaos, because that's what Pluto rules. And that's why Scorpio goes through these different evolutionary cycles, starting from the very first level, which I will be talking about in a minute. But the point is that every stage that Scorpio goes through is a process of distillation, of refinement, so that Scorpio eventually reaches its highest potential. Because Scorpio is a highly spiritual sign. It does rule the 8th house, which has to do with spirituality. And it is also the sign of the shaman, the healer, So Scorpio is a very complex sign, and until and unless they realize what they're truly capable of, they may remain stuck at the lower stages. I don't even like to call it lower stages because it is a progression, and everybody goes through it at some point or the other. So let's start. So the first stage of Scorpio is the very base level, which is the Scorpion. And that is where you will find the stereotypical descriptions of Scorpio coming through. So this person may be very revengeful, the proverbial stinger that Scorpio is known for, especially because they are at this stage of the very first level, which is the Scorpion. They may lash out when they feel like they've been betrayed. And the thing about Scorpio feeling betrayed is the other person may not have even intended it as a betrayal, but if Scorpio perceives that as a perceived betrayal, then they will sting. And that's where we have the very base level. It's the very base level because that's just like the involuntary reaction that Scorpio has whenever they feel slighted or they feel threatened or betrayed by someone. So it is not a very evolved stage at all. It is the very first stage. And usually this is where they have the biggest life lessons to learn, because they realize very soon that that's not the way to solve their issues, because they realize very quickly that they're alienating a lot of people because of this attitude of constantly stinging everybody and everything around them. The venom can be very strong in this stage. They can, depending on where other planets are in their chart, they could lash out through words, they could lash out through their behavior. There are a lot of ways that this can play out, but this is where the very dark side, or quote-unquote shadow side of Scorpio comes through, where they can really take revenge if they feel betrayed or slighted. Now the next stage, once they realize that this is not really working out for them, because that's another thing about Scorpio, is they don't like to repeat their mistakes. They are pretty quick at learning things. The age-old saying, right? You fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. So that applies very much to Scorpio. Scorpio doesn't like to be making the same mistake twice. So they're pretty quick at learning from their mistakes. So once they figure out that the stinger situation is not working, constantly lashing out and constantly stinging people, and the venom, all that is not working out, because they realize very quickly that people are not going to stay with them for very long if they act this way. They're just alienating a lot of people, and eventually they are being alone a lot of the time. So once they realize that this is not working out, then they move to the next stage, which is the lizard stage. Now this is also not a very evolved stage, because the lizard stage is usually characterized by a phase of dormancy, I would say, because it is a phase where they're not really doing anything much with their life, like they're not being super ambitious or productive or efficient, and that is a shame, because Scorpio is co-ruled by Mars. Mars is all about action and drive and, achieving things. So Scorpio, once it reaches that potential, it's very good at doing that, and especially they do it very strategically. But at the Lizard stage, they kind of are in a phase of limbo, I would say, because they are characterized by a feeling of envy. So during the Lizard stage, the Scorpio may feel like everybody else has it good, but they don't. Almost like a victim mentality is how I would describe it. It's also a phase where they don't feel very motivated to do anything to rectify the situation. So it's like I said, it's like being in limbo. So they're very passive during the Lizard stage. They don't do much to actively rectify a situation. So they will be envious of other people, but they won't do anything to make their own life situation better, if that makes sense. So it doesn't really progress. Like I said, it's a period of stagnancy. But the thing about the Lizard stage is, just like Scorpio is known for, it's about change. And if you notice, like a lizard's tail, if it gets broken off, it regrows, right? So it's the same thing with the Scorpio at this stage. Once they realize that this period of stagnation is not really working out for them, because as much as Scorpio is a fixed sign, they love change. They thrive on change, actually. And they like people who challenge them to change for the better. So when they are in this sort of stuck in this period of stagnancy during the Lizard stage, they actually hunger for change. They actually hunger to make things better. And one fine day they wake up and realize, this is not working out, because this period of limbo or stagnation is just eating them up from inside. And also because they're consumed by all that jealousy and envy of other people who have it better than them, they one day decide to wake up and do something about it. And that's when the next stage happens, which is the stage of the snake. Now, the snake stage is characterized by also dormancy, but it's not as dormant as the Lizard stage, because the Lizard stage is like complete passive. They're not doing anything about it. They're not trying to change their life situation, but they're still envious of other people. The snake stage is not like that. The snake stage is more active, because they're actually doing something to make their life productive, better, improve their life situation, all those good positive things. But at the same time, and the thing about the snake stage is they kind of mind their own business. So they're staying in their own lane. The Scorpio at this stage is very much about being in their own lane, staying in their own lane, minding their own business. They're not bothering anybody else. But if you bother a Scorpio at this stage, when they're at the snake stage, then prepare to get stung. Prepare to get stung, because it's very similar to the snake. The snake doesn't really bother anybody. It's a very peaceful creature, contrary to what people think. The snakes are very spiritual. They are also known for their wisdom. So Scorpio at this stage is becoming wiser about their life choices, the things they do, and they kind of realize the patterns in their life. Like, for example, the choices they make and the repercussions on their life because of those choices. So it's a very wisdom-oriented stage, the snake stage, and it's also about shedding their skin. So there's a lot of metamorphosis, a lot of change and growth that we see in the Scorpio during the snake stage. But that being said, because, like I said, because they're going through such a period of evolution during the snake stage, it's a period of constant transformation. That is why they don't have any time to be bothered by other people's drama or business, or that's why I said they're staying in their own lane. They're minding their own business. They don't really care to interfere in other people's businesses. It is a very peaceful stage, but it's also a lot of internal transformation that the Scorpio is going through during the snake stage. But like I said, if you provoke the Scorpio at this stage of their evolutionary cycle, then you will have to prepare to get stung, because the snake, like I said, it's a very peaceful creature. It doesn't bother anybody, but if you keep prodding and poking, be prepared to get the venom, because there is a tolerance level that once you cross that level, they will sting. So the venom is still there. Also, I wanted to say, during the snake stage, you can find that the Scorpio is a bit cold, because snakes in general, They're known to be cold-blooded creatures, but the parallels to the Scorpio can be drawn from the fact that during this stage, because Scorpio is going through such a period of transformation and catharsis within themselves, they're pretty much reinventing themselves on a daily, weekly, monthly basis. Like, it's very fast progression, and it's all happening internally. You may not see anything on the surface that's evident. But because they're going through such a period of change, you may find that the Scorpio during this stage is not very warm or over emotional, or that warmth is missing from the Scorpio. And that's because they are fully busy with their lives. Their internal landscape is so busy that they don't really have time to externalize their emotions, because all of it is focused inwards. All of it is towards their own growth and evolution, So if you compare this stage to the first stage of the Scorpio, which is the Scorpion stage is all about survival, which is why it lashes out at every single perceived betrayal. But every time it perceives a threat, it's going to sting. It's very survival oriented, which is a base level way of living. Now, when you come to the snake stage, it's kind of moving towards the thriving stage, which is why it's all about that internal metamorphosis and change and constantly reinventing themselves, which is why during this stage you may find the Scorpio a little bit cold. They're not doing it on purpose. It's just that they're busy with a lot of things in their life. They just have a lot going on internally, and they don't have time to devote to other people. During this stage, you may also find the Scorpio to be a bit of a loner. They may prefer to be by themselves a lot. Uh, Scorpio is a water sign, so they're ruled by emotions. You may find that they are going through a lot of things internally. They may not always show it on the surface, because Scorpio, like Capricorn, Scorpio is a very stoic sign. They are very proud of themselves. They don't like to lose control. Control is a big theme with Scorpio, especially being co-ruled by Pluto. They love control, especially control over themselves more than other people. And that's one of the biggest life lessons Scorpio learns, that you cannot control other people, you can only control yourself. And that happens as the stages progress. So once the Scorpio goes through the snake stage, at the end of it, you will find a completely different person. The way the Scorpio person was when they entered the snake stage, and once they leave the snake stage, they are completely different people. You will not be able to recognize this person. And I don't mean that on a superficial level. I mean like on an internal level. Their mindset would have changed completely. Their attitude towards life has changed completely. The way they handle things in their life would have changed completely. So it's more internal. It's not on a superficial level at all. Then we move to the next stage, which is that of the Phoenix. So that is interesting because, sorry, not the Phoenix, that is coming next one. After the snake stage, we have the eagle stage. Actually, the eagle stage is very interesting because at this stage the Scorpio realizes to look at life from a higher perspective, not to sweat the small stuff, not to get into the details so much that you lose sight of the big picture. This is where the strategy comes in. Like I said, Scorpio is a very strategic sign, right? But to reach that level of strategy, they have to go through all these stages before they can reach that level where they can actually think clearly and be really precise about their life choices and the way they conduct themselves, the way they carry out their lives. That all comes with strategy, and that strategy happens during the eagle stage. If you see the eagle circles around their prey from a very high distance, and they're able to zone in on one particular creature, one particular prey, and then they go in for, the hunt or whatever. So the eagle is known to look at situations or look at life from a higher perspective, like from the bigger perspective, bigger picture perspective. And the Scorpio learns to do that during the eagle stage, where the thing with Scorpio is, like I said, it's an emotional sign, it's a water sign, so sometimes they can get carried away with their emotions. But that and all happens up until the snake stage. It doesn't mean Scorpio loses their emotions once they're in the eagle stage, but they just realize that they need to be a little bit more cool-tempered or even-keeled and think more rationally and logically, because this is the stage where they realize that they can really achieve very big things in life if they use the philosophy of the eagle, which is to be more rational, be more logical, focus on the goal at hand and not get carried away by the distractions. That whole seven of cups in tarot that we talk about, all those distractions, but there's only one prize, there's only one cup which is good for the Scorpio. That's when Scorpio realizes to separate the wheat from the chaff and sort of just focus. Focus is a very big theme during this stage. Strategy is a very big theme in this stage. And these are very, very useful for Scorpio because this is when the real progression and growth starts happening for Scorpio. Now, I will say this, a lot of Scorpios, they don't get past the Scorpion stage. A lot of Scorpios, they don't get past the lizard stage. They don't get past the snake stage either, because that's the thing with Scorpio. It's like taking 3 steps in front and 5 steps backward. It is a very challenging sign. It does have a lot of challenges. It's not an easy placement. I'm not even talking about the Scorpio sun sign. Even if you have a bunch of planets in Scorpio, you know what I'm talking about. It does take a lot to reach the ascension or the next level as we speak. And so every stage is characterized by a lot of challenges. It's almost like a gaming scenario. You've got to clear several levels before you can reach the next level. And even then, you may make a mistake and come back several levels down, right? So it's like a gaming scenario even in life. So, and the thing with the eagle stage is once the Scorpio reaches the eagle stage, that's when they start noticing that, okay, it's just onward and upward from here. Because that's when they're shedding their kind of quote unquote lower natures or their baser natures. It's no longer about survival. It is more about thriving. And that is a higher octave. That is when they start using their strategy. They start using their logic and their precision towards achieving something greater. Because Scorpio can achieve a lot of things. Like they can rise to heights of fame and fortune that a lot of other signs can't. But before that, they've got to go through all that evolution till they reach the eagle stage. And that's why Scorpio also rules kind of the organs that have to do with elimination or waste, because that's a very prominent theme in Scorpio's life as well, where they have to get rid of a lot of toxicity, a lot of waste in their own lives, whether that be in terms of their own patterns, their own thinking, their own self-talk, whatever have you. Like they have to go through a lot in order to distill all these things in their own nature. Which is why a lot of Scorpios, they don't even go above the Scorpion stage or the lizard stage. Many of them remain stuck in those stages. That's why not every Scorpio is the same. You will find so many different kind of Scorpios because there are so many stages that they go through. Now, once they reach the eagle stage and once they realize that they can actually get more done by looking at the bigger picture, by not getting distracted, then the growth really starts happening, because then they've kind of unlocked a new level. If we're again talking about the gaming situation, where they've unlocked a new level and they realize there's more rewards to be found if they operate this way rather than in a sort of survival slash stinging manner, because they're just alienating people like that. And you need people in this world, like we are social animals. The next stage, once they reach the eagle stage, once they've mastered looking at the bigger picture, once they become really strategic about their life choices, then comes the phoenix stage. The phoenix stage is another hurdle. It's a bigger challenge level, I would say. Again, think of it like gaming scenario. It's a bigger level challenge because the phoenix is all about a lot of chaos, a lot of, rising from the ashes, just like the phoenix. They have to go through a lot of ordeals during this stage because they may find that even though they are being very strategic, even though they are looking at the bigger picture in life, they may feel like the people around them don't understand them. A lot of people don't understand Scorpios when they're in the phoenix stage because they are so used to seeing the Scorpio in their earlier stages where they were moody, where they were lashing out, where they were revengeful, where they were venomous, that now that the Scorpio is at a more refined distal level, a lot of people may distance themselves from the Scorpio. And that is very painful to a Scorpio person, because they are very close to the people they love and they don't like it when their relationships suffer. But this is an internal thing that the Scorpio has to go through. So the phoenix stage, it can leave the Scorpio feeling very alone a lot of the times because people don't understand the internal evolution that's happening within the Scorpio. So they may be so used to, so I'll give an example. Let's say a Scorpio has been with someone for several years, right? Like in a relationship. And they're used to the Scorpio always stinging or sort of stinging or like taking revenge every time they feel like a betrayal. And now the Scorpio is more distilled, more refined. They don't act that way anymore. They're more cool. They're more calm. They're more collected. They're more rational, more logical. The other person may not like that because it's, first of all, it's a change from the regular pattern. Second of all, they may feel like the Scorpio doesn't care anymore, but that's not the case. The Scorpio has just become more strategic, more wise, more more wise, like I said, more in tune with what's the focus, what's the goal here. So that's why I said like the Phoenix stage is not easy. The Phoenix stage is actually one of the toughest stages that the Scorpio can go through. And you may think like, why is it the case? Because the Eagle stage, they've already learned to master strategy. They've already learned to master looking at the bigger picture. So why is it that now they have to face all these struggles? But that's because the Phoenix stage, it's kind of like, once you cross the Phoenix stage, then the sky is the limit. So they have to go through this stage to really refine themselves and reach the highest potential. So the Phoenix stage, like I said, there'll be a lot of challenges. They may feel like they're being put through the ringer. The Scorpio may really feel like giving up a lot at this stage. They may feel like, what is even the point? But this is where the real test happens. And if the Scorpio can get through this stage, then comes the final stage, which is the Dove stage, which is the highest potential for Scorpio, which is all about peace, love, abundance, and all the good things that Scorpio is truly capable of. And this is where you will find the best version of Scorpio. This is where they are the best givers, they're the best partners in a relationship, they're the best son, daughter, mother, father, they are the highest potential of themselves. And this is very rare actually to find in most Scorpios, because we are human beings after all. We are sort of trapped in this flesh and blood, and so Scorpio can often struggle to reach the Dove stage because it is so difficult. The stage before that, the Phoenix, is so very challenging, and it can put the Scorpio through so much of a challenge that a lot of the times they may give up before reaching the Dove stage. And the thing is, Scorpio does have a very high tolerance for pain, any kind of pain, emotional, whatever, any kind of pain. Scorpio has a high tolerance level because they're used to it from a very young age. They kind of have it ingrained in their DNA or wired in their DNA that they really have to work hard, or they have to do a lot in order to reach a certain level. So it's kind of ingrained in their own system. But once they reach the Phoenix stage, if they can cross it, then they really realize how limitless they truly are. Whether it comes to giving love to other people, whether it comes to being generous to other people, their heart is really open during the stage of the Dove. And that is so rare for a Scorpio, because throughout their life, Scorpio is always scared of being manipulated. They have a whole bunch of trust issues. This can apply to any kind of Scorpio placement, but any prominent Scorpio placement, they have trust issues right from an early stage. They don't trust easily because their trust was probably broken when they were very young. They were probably abandoned by someone very close to them when they were very young. So all these trust issues are always there with a Scorpio. But the Dove stage is so open because they realize that love is the only true answer in life, and that is the only thing that is constant. And to reach that level of purity, the Dove is known for purity and peace. And to reach that level of purity requires a lot of intense struggle and challenges. That's why I said once they cross the Phoenix stage, once they've been through that fire and sort of come out of the proverbial ashes, so to speak, then they've risen to the Dove stage. And that's when you will see a completely new side of your Scorpio person. And that's why if you're in a relationship with someone with strong Scorpio, then you will notice a Scorpio going through all these stages in their life. And you may feel like when you were with the Scorpio many years before, they may not have been very emotionally expressive or vulnerable, but now at the Dove stage, they are literally crying their heart out at the drop of a hat. I mean, that's the level of vulnerability and tenderness that the Scorpios level to be, agreed to open up to, because they've finally reached that stage and they realize we are all one. Human beings are not separate from each other, we are all one, and so there is no separation. It's just a very ascended energy at the dove stage, and like I said, it's very rare to find that. You will find it in some Scorpios, and sometimes some Scorpios, if they're more spiritually evolved, you will find them jumping stages as well. So it's not always that it's a linear progression. So sometimes they may skip from the Scorpion directly to the Eagle stage, or like they may not even go through the Lizard stage or something like that. So it depends. Like, it depends on how much of evolution the Scorpio is ready to go through. But evolution is a must. It is a sign co-ruled by Mars and Pluto, so it kind of forces them to change and thrive through chaos, because that's what Pluto rules. And then the Mars forces them to kind of go out and achieve whatever it is that they want in life. So it's the best of both worlds, and it's a constant push. That's why they say diamonds are made through pressure. That's kind of the Scorpio energy. They become a diamond, that is the dove stage, once they go through all this process of heat and pressure and constant challenges, chaos, crisis. And then they reach the dove stage where there's nothing left to kind of get challenged or get proved by. They don't have to prove to anyone. They are just the living example of love and abundance. And everybody is drawn to that energy like a magnet, because it is so powerful and it is so radiant. You will notice that if a Scorpio is at the dove stage, you will notice that in the Scorpio, and you will see the change in the energy. You will see how people react around them. It's very different from how a normal or like a lower level Scorpio would attract the kind of energy. Their magnetism is like no other. It's just something amazing to watch. So that's what I have for you today for the levels of Scorpio. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Your likes help my videos stay relevant in the YouTube algorithm. It also motivates me to deliver more content for you, my lovely subscribers. If you'd like to book a reading with me, drop me a message on Facebook or email. The links are in the description box below, and I'll get back to you soon. Thanks all for watching. I'll see you in my next video. Bye-bye.